Here's the opening range recap for Tuesday, August 30th. We're going to start with the S&P first because that's the cleanest. This is a 1 minute chart. We're going to go over the 25% first and then we'll go to the 50. So first trade here on the 25 was a win. Second pivot hit was a loss, making this a most safe entry, and it was worth 2.5 points for a win for this pivot. Pivot 4 here was a loss. Pivot 5 here was a win, got its 2.5 points. Needed it up to 87 and a half. It got 87 or 88. So that was a win. So that was a second 25% most safe entry. So this one was worth 2.5 points as well. And then this is the sixth pivot hit, which was a win. So we had two most safe 25%ers. This one here, trade number 3 and trade number 5, worth a total of 5 S&P points. Now moving on to the 50%. Pivot 1 was a Pivot 2 was a loss. Pivot 3 was a win. Pivot 4 was a loss. Pivot 5 was a loss, making this sixth pivot a 50% most safe, and that was a winner worth 5 points. So the S&P 50% most safe had one win worth 5 points, and then the 25% S&P had 2 wins worth 2.5 points each, for a total of 10 S&P points for today on the most safe entries. Okay, now moving on to the NQ. NQ pivot hit for 25% again was a win. 25% pivot number 2 was a win. Pivot 3 was a win. Pivot 4 was a loss. So this would be a most safe entry for the 25%, which is also a loss. So you triple up here and you won that trade. So you broke even on the 25% most safe entries for the NQ. For the 50%, a win here on pivot 1, win here, pivot 2, win here, pivot 3. A loss here on pivot 4, loss here on pivot 5, making this a 50% most safe entry on the NQ, which was a win. So that was worth 20 NQ points, so $400 on a mini for that. So 1 and 1 on the most safe trades for the NQ on the 25%, and 1 and 0 on the 50% most safe. And now to the ugly one, the Dow 25%ers win trade pivot number 1. Pivot 2 was a loss. So pivot 3 would be a most safe 25% entry, which was a loss as well. So you triple up here, which was a loss as well, and then triple up here, I guess, if you so desired, which was a win, and it got up to what you needed. But those are ugly. Obviously, 3 losses on the 25% is what you want to avoid. Usually when you're going to have that, you're going to have it in this type of situation where I found mostly when it's down markets, or if it's a very small opening range. Today wasn't too bad. It was 78 points, so it wasn't a bad opening range as far as that goes. But market just kind of dumped, a little after 10:30 to 10:50. Those 20 minutes, it dropped to 300 points or so. And in those cases, that's the ones that you got to avoid if you can. But obviously more difficult to figure out. But the markets were down and they were slipping. But usually when you're going to have ugly situations like that in any of the markets, it's usually going to be in this time frame where you get multiple entries very quickly after 10:30 with the markets down. So however you traded this, you could have had big loss if you exited here, or however you did it, or just not entered additional contracts and had a bigger stop or whatever. But that is the 25%. So again, your first entry was here, second entry was here, and third entry was here, and you would have won eventually, but that's probably not how you want to trade it. Pivot, or for the 50%, win trade 1, loss trade 2, loss trade 3. So this is your first 50% most safe entry, which was a loss, so you would double up here and you had a win. So you broke even on the 50%. The 25% Dow was the one that was ugly. If you traded the other two, the NQ and the S&P, you did well. So hopefully that makes up for the ugliness in the Dow. But if you only traded Dow, then you probably had a problem. So anyway, that's a recap of today. Talk to you tomorrow.